So yeah, WWE is good, and it's because of that. Because it's like it's built to be entertaining. It doesn't really matter that it's fake because it looks cool. It looks more entertaining than real fights. I think sort of parodied in the episode of South Park again. Fucking. Oh damn it! I guess I'm just kind of sucking Matt Stone and Trey Parker's dicks at this point. But in the episode where they do a bit of wrestling, the fucking kids of South Park start their own backyard wrestling company. When they break out into a genuine fight, everyone goes, "Oh my god, this is fucking fake and gay and lame." After spending a whole episode of being like, "Oh my god, how awesome is all of this?" When they were doing the fake fighting, when they started fighting for real, everyone was like, "Oh, this is lame, man. Who the fuck wants to watch this?" And that's kind of the idea I got from the limited amount of fighting that I've seen, like legitimate fighting. Unless you're like emotionally vested, like maybe you could watch it at like the Olympics or whatever, or just fucking support the guy that has the same passport as you do. But just like fucking, there's two guys, and either they both belong to a nationality I couldn't give two shits about, or they both belong to the same one. I don't really see the point. Which I think is just why it's helped when there's like controversy. So like when David Hay was all like "fuck your mama," or it's going to be like this fight's going to be like a gang rape. That actually helps because it makes people go, "Oh fuck, maybe we should see what this douchebag is like." I mean that's how real wrestling works. Half of the characters in wrestling are there to make you pissed off at them, so you want to see them get beat up. And I think that's what David Hay was trying to do. Because when you actually watch them fight, it's really technical and interesting. Maybe if you actually know anything about the sport, or maybe if you were forced into it as a kid and you understand bits, you're like, oh, it's an interesting fucking duel because this guy's got slightly longer arms, but the other guy's got slightly quicker hands, and it's fucking. But this guy tends to guard more towards this side and this side, and it becomes an interesting sort of almost meeting of the minds, even though it's technically a meeting of the fists. But fucking for Johnny Layman over here, who doesn't know two fucking things about fighting, like at least not in a like competitive boxing element aspect. One of those, maybe, or a third word that makes sense. You can infer from what I'm saying, what I'm trying to say, from the words that are coming out of my mouth. Pretend like I don't really know how to speak English, because that's probably the case. It's fucking boring. I'm not gonna lie. Like, much rather watch Rocky than fucking spend as much time as I've spent watching Rocky on watching genuinely people fight. Needed a dark slide and I was timid. But yeah, so I think whereas when you watch like these pro wrestler guys, yeah, they might be hammy as fuck, by which I mean sort of acting skill wise, because they're stuntmen and actors like crossed. So cross between stuntmen and stunt work and acting. So maybe their acting skills aren't the best because like a lot of them need to be huge to look threatening. So it's like a smaller demographic of just anyone that can act. You kind of have to be convincing as a kind of physical threat. Considering a lot of actors are quite slight, that kind of leaves a lot of them out. So they're looking at a lot smaller pool of possible fucking inclusions, and also it's not as popular. It's just generally acting. There's plenty of factors for why they might have a slightly smaller pool of talent acting-wise, but that just kind of makes it. You can just laugh at that. I mean, you don't have to like. You don't have to be fully engrossed in the fucking like suspension of disbelief the entire time. Sometimes you can be like, wow, did he really just say that? That just adds to it in my head. Because they've got a whole fucking writing team based on trying to make you want to enjoy tuning in. Whereas, real fighting doesn't have that. Or almost everything involved in real life doesn't have that. Except for, like, speeches and stuff. I think my point is I'm not really that bothered about the fact about whether or not something's real or not. I just want to be entertained. And the moves that like professional wrestlers do in rings I find a lot more entertaining than watching one guy kind of slowly get punched a few times in the face. Or even watching like UFC, because when I first heard about it, like the way they sell it in fucking Friends, that one episode where one of Monica's old boyfriends gets involved with it, sounds so exciting, like fucking, because I didn't realise that there was much like full contact fighting, apart from like, you know, in specific martial arts, and even then if you don't use a move that they teach, that's like illegal. And then boxing, which is like, well, kind of lame, because you can't use your feet, and I'm a kicker when I fight. Not because I'm some kind of pussy. I do taekwondo, which is like kicking. Well, I used to do taekwondo, which is like kicking martial art. I'm probably a pussy now, but yeah, I like to kick, and so there wasn't anything there for me boxing wise. But I completely lost where I was, so bear with me while I try and get back my vagina and keep multitasking. Yeah, when I found out about UFC, it was like, wow, this sounds really cool, because it's just like no holds barred, you do what you want, and the guy that, like, it's almost like a real fucking fight, like out in the streets. It's just like whoever comes out on top is the fucking winner, and you can just do what the fuck you want. I mean, if you're badass at kung fu, if you want to fucking Bruce Lee it, then by all means you're welcome to. But if you're, you know, if you've been brought up on the fucking streets and you just want to hit someone, and your talent is just mainly involves hitting the other guy in the face really hard and making him fall down, then you can do that too. I thought that was really cool. But I actually saw some UFC, like some fighting, and it's just like all the guys that are really good. They do Brazilian jiu-jitsu, which mainly involves just being really good at like a cross between fighting on the ground and like wrestling. It seems like it's just like, I mean, like by wrestling I mean like genuine wrestling, like the wrestling you see at the Olympics. God, I wish. God, it would be so cool if they had some kind of pro wrestling thing at the Olympics. How much money would the WWE have to make to like buy their way into the Olympics? It's like, yeah, no, we're going to have one of our main events of the year is actually going to be at the Olympics. It's still going to be fully scripted and completely fake, just like the rest of the WWE. But we'll have some of it at the Olympics just to add, just to add to it. That's another free gold medal to go to the USA along with their basketball one. Oh, another along with their fucking basketball too, because there's women's basketball too as well. And stop saying two. Yeah, it's just like they're just like rolling around the floor, hugging each other, and it looks really lame. And like some of these guys might be fucking huge and fierce, but it just doesn't look like a great fight, because if it was out in the street, then like it basically just doesn't convey the idea of either of them being particularly either of the people involved being particularly brutal in terms of you don't want to fuck with them, like in like a kind of, well, in a sort of back alley situation, which is kind of where all real fights in my head are just like you're in a back alley. There's maybe like a different number of dudes on each specific side, but normally there's more than two people involved at any given time. And if two people just want to lock up and fucking, you know, homoeroticize the shit out of wrestling, then homoeroticize the shit out of what the fuck they're just fucking rolling around. If they want to roll around for a bit, you know, fair play to them. But if I see a guy in a fight rolling around with one of my dudes, if he's winning or losing, I'm just going to punt the guy that I don't like in the face. So it doesn't really seem like it's, you know, obviously for like one-on-one fighting it clearly works, because all the really good ones, that's how a lot of the fights go at the height, you know, in UFC. A lot of the fights are like wrestly, tackly, one of them's on the ground fighting for a position. Well, they're both fighting for a position, trying to punch each other in the face while they're both lying down. It's like, fair enough if you're one-on-one, but what are you going to do if there's another guy? What if it's two-on-one? You can't be there jostling for position with two people at once. You need to just hit one of them really hard and then move on, or run away. So it seems like a bit, even though they're like peak physical conditioning, the best like duelers in the world, they don't seem like that great fighters to me, or at least it doesn't look like that great of a fight, because it just feels like, well, if there was anyone else involved, then the whole outlook of the fight will be completely 100% changed, because this entire strategy, this entire like martial art that's so dominant will be almost useless. And there'll be, you know, a lot greater emphasis on just hitting the other guy really fucking hard, making sure that more of your team are in less pain than the other guys. You know, no matter how many people are on your team or their team, it's just the idea of a fight is to win it. And by doing that, and the main way to do that, if it's more than just one-on-one, it's just to make sure that the other guy's in more pain. The other guys are on average in more pain than you are. And it just seems like when you watch UFC, that's not really. It's just fucking boring at the end of the day. Look, I've reached the limit of my ability, my English comprehension skills. I've reached my kind of upper cap, and going into any more detail whilst trying to complete this goddamn goal isn't really on the cards, it seems. But I think you get the idea at this point. I just don't find it compelling anymore. I was watching a really big guy that even though he's like 45, just punch loads of like peak physical conditioning fucking 25-year-olds in the face, and they all just fly. I find that really entertaining. It's fucking cool. Who gives a fuck if it's plausible or not? It looks like they're being punched in the face, even though they're not. So I don't care. It's more satisfying to watch than UFC, I think. Another random subject for me to drone on about. I can't believe I've spent this long on this goal. I think it's because I've been not fully concentrating, and this is the kind of goal that needs me to concentrate fully. Maybe I should shut up, and then like that way we'll actually move on, rather than me random cutout for the win, rather than me failing at life. I forget what the first half of the sentence was, so I was like, I need to say rather than. That's what I need to say, and then from then I fucking rather than me attempting to that's it. Rather than me attempting to say interesting things and play this game well at the same time, like I said when I was skating around Manhattan for about 45 minutes. I should probably like take a time out and focus on each one at a time rather than try and do the both at the same time, because that clearly fucking doesn't work, at least not in any way well. Again, quoting myself verbatim. I like to pretend that it was because of editing it that I knew what I said exactly, but I'm vain, so maybe I watched it. Well, clearly based on the editing alone, I've watched more of me skating around and chatting shit than probably anyone else has, but I watched the finished article as well, just to make sure it's not too shit.